Hello ladies and gents, another video brought to you by Ants Hood, and today's video is going to be about my Messor Barbarus, my Messor Arenarius and my Messor Minor Hasperius. Ooh, that was a mouthful. The teenage boys of my ant cave. Now why they're the teenage boys of the ant cave I will let you know in a second, but as I've got this awesome picture up of my Messor Barbarus bicolour, everything's a mouthful today, geez. I'm going to talk about these first. Now, I've got a playlist of these, and I'll put it in the top right corner now. I say these, I think it's a playlist for all my messes. I might need to change it because it's down as Messor Barbarus, but I think all my messes I'm tending to group together in one video at the moment. So, this is my Messor Barbarus. They are currently in a Wakushi Venus nest, and I've attached an outworld to make it easy to feed them, because that little outworld that comes with the Wakushi nest is nothing but a pain when you're trying to feed them. Now, if you can hear snoring, that's my dog. She won't leave my side when I'm at home, and she snores all the time when she sleeps, so I apologise. But as I take this cover off, you can see that my Messor Barbarus are going crazy. This is standard for Messor Barbarus. They are very skittish, they are very nervous, any form of vibration, and they just lose it and run everywhere, as you can see them doing now. But as you can see, I've got a very healthy Connolly, and considering my other Connolly died, I'm very pleased that these are doing well. Now, I love a macro shot, you all know I do, so here is another one. And you can see here, this is what I love about messers. They're jet black, look at the queen there, nice shiny black, and they've got a nice red head as well. And that's what makes them bicolour. And that in front of you, I'm not sure if that's ant bread, but you will see some later, or if that's bits of the cockroach which is in the outworld. I can't quite figure that out yet. Now, I'm sure you can see some scattered eggs at the bottom there, but as we pan over to the right, you'll see in a second, there it is, a nice little batch of eggs that have been laid. Now, there's much controversy about messers. Do you hibernate them? Do you not hibernate them? And stuff like that. Now, these were hibernating when it was a single queen, because I got two of them, if you remember rightly. If not, check the playlist I've tagged earlier. You'll see that I had two that were start of the season out of hibernation from Ants HQ, I think it was, and they didn't have any eggs. So this is all from this season, so they're doing really well considering. Now, they hibernated then, but as you can clearly see from this activity in this video, they're not really ready to hibernate now. I can see no signs from them where they're indicating to me that they want to hibernate. So they're at 25 degrees currently, and I've got no plans to hibernate these at all. We all know that teenage boys are messy and their rooms generally stink. I'm sure the female ant keepers amongst us that got teenage boys know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's why I named this channel, because this isn't just these messes that are messy. All of them are. I've got 3 different species and they're all messy. Maybe that's where Messor comes from. Messor, messy. I mean, I don't know Latin, but it seems to make sense to me. And I'm not saying teenage boys do this, but those white streaks that you see across the acrylic, that's poop. Now, I'm not saying teenage boys poop in their room. Maybe some do. I don't know. I never when I was a teenage boy, but maybe. But anyway, so this is how I'm going to go about cleaning these. This is how busy it is in here. Because the outworld's quite small, I could really do with a bigger one. Now, I don't have a decent large size outworld left. Yes, I've got the Ant Boy cylinder nest that I took off my Solenopsis. Geez, how did I forget that? That was an epic journey, that was. Well, pain in the bum that was. There's a video to that if you want to check it out as well. So anyway, I could use that, but then I'm going to have issues with filming because it's cylindrical and the acrylic isn't really good quality. It isn't crystal clear, so I find it difficult to film. So I'm kind of reluctant to use them. Yes, there's a small outworld. Yes, they could do with a bigger one, but it's not detrimental to their health if I don't get a bigger one. So I'm probably going to leave them in these until I can acquire a decent, larger outworld. Now, all this cotton wool has come from the test tube where all the brood was. That was originally about half water, half open, and they water dried out, so I left them there because all the brood was there. But I've been replacing the test tubes. I've been going along with these to keep them with some moisture. They've currently got a full one at the moment, so I'm not too fussed about the water at the moment. I kind of expected them to move the brood in there, but they never did. They've kept it in the empty test tube, but that's where all the cotton wool comes from. And as I said, all these streaks that you see, that's poop. And you've got, and in the bottom left hand corner, that's poop as well. Now, what I'm trying to do is clear the area so I can clean. Now, these seeds haven't been eaten yet or anything like that, so I'm putting them back in the tray so they can move them all over the place again when I leave them alone, which they will. They love dumping their seeds all over the outworld. They've also got stores, as you can see in the Wakushi Venus nest footage, of where they've stored their seeds in a test tube that's empty of water. The cotton wool's still in there, but they've got no water in that test tube anyway, because they do in the top one. Just look back and you'll know what I mean. Because I'm starting to confuse myself now. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm all over the place. Oh wait, I think I know what it is. This morning I watched Ants Hollifer's podcast with Ants England and Nirafu, Lynn, that really nice lady that bought me the S6 nest for my Nikos. Ants England said I got a dodgy accent and it's upset me, so I don't want to talk on my videos anymore. But I speak the Queen's English. If anyone's got a dodgy accent, it's Ants England. She's dodgy Cockney accent. Nah. But jokes aside, as you can see, I have got quite a bit of build-up of, I don't know what it is. I'm not sure if it's like leftover cockroach or whatever right in the middle of the outworld. So I really need to clean that up. I will cut it here, otherwise you're going to see me picking up seeds constantly. Because it's such a small outworld and there's so many busy ants in there, it's difficult to clean it. And to tell you the truth, I think I kind of give up after a while anyway. So what I've done is I've got a cotton bud and wet the end, as you can see here, and I'm using that to loosen up all the gunk that's on the bottom of the outworld to try and clean it up. Now, generally speaking, the ants avoid it, but I do get ants on there, and I just take them off with my tweezers or flick them in or drop them in. As you can see, a couple dropping from the surface just then, or from the ceiling just then. And then once I've wetted a significant area and give it a chance to soak in, as it were, so it could loosen it all up, I'll flip the cotton bud around, and I keep wanting to say Q-tip. I don't know why. I never use that word in normal life. Why am I want to saying it now? It's confusing me. Anyway, so flip it around, and then I use the dry end to pick up all the excess. Yeah, this is one of the tweezers that I've used to get one of the ants off of the cotton bud. Then get the dry end and then clean it all up. And it doesn't do a brilliant job, but it will do for now, just to clean the area up a little bit. Really need to look at getting an outworld for these girls, to be fair. But I will say, Wakushi's got a setup coming, which I really, really want to get, which I haven't done it yet. Especially now it's Christmas, I need to forget about it for now, because I need to buy prezzies and stuff. But he's got a setup where you've got an outworld and test tubes stacked up the back, which I really want to get for my Formica fuscas and my Formica rufibarbus, because I want to be able to easily get access to their brood, so I can offer it to my Formica sanguea, I can't remember how I always pronounce it now, which are my slave makers, so they can make slaves of them. But looking at how well these messors have done in the Venus nest with test tubes, I really want to move them into that. But there is some issues which I'm not sure about with that new setup that Wakushi's doing with the test tubes, but I'll probably talk about that if I ever get it. If we move on to my next Messor species, I'm going to butcher this, my Messor Minor Hasperius. I keep saying Hesperium, I don't know why. I'm sorry. Now this is their current setup. It is just a tubs and tube setup, so they're in a test tube again. Now I know you guys are thinking, didn't you move these into the EA nest? I did, and they crashed hard. So I panicked a little bit, moved them back into the test tube, and this is how they're doing now. As you can see, they're doing better than ever. I've got a nice pile of brood there, and I've got some good numbers coming back now. So if we take a look with a macro lens, you can see they're doing really well. I've got a really nice healthy pile of brood there. There's some fresh eggs there as well. And I love the way they've organised the brood pile as well, which is interesting. So if you look, you've got the pupae where the queen is, and as you go down, you've got larvae. Obviously the eggs are just stuck with the pupae. They just thought it looked good there, I guess. And if you can look here, which one of the workers just got stood on by the queen, you will see that they've actually cleaned in an egg there as well. I can only assume that she was laying that in the process of laying it when I disturbed her with this video recording. What I love about these is how they're bi-colour, how they've got different colour body parts. Now the queen looks pretty standard with a slightly reddish head and jet black, standard Messor stuff. If you look at the workers, you'll see that their body and their heads are different colours compared to the backside, as it were. Now, when I first got these, in my first video of these where I introduced them, I said I couldn't wait for the majors to be produced because the colours are really interesting and really gorgeous, and they are possibly the most beautifulest messors I've ever come across in my life because they are gorgeous. And somebody stated in the comments that these don't have majors. Well, I beg to differ, sir. I beg to differ. I can't remember who it was, but if you can see here, I've clearly got two different size workers, and the majors, or I wouldn't say they're super majors, but the majors have got different coloured heads and bodies. Now, I initially thought emerged out of the pupae stage, but I don't think that is the case with these. I think, generally speaking, the large ones are this kind of yellow. But then again, I could be wrong. And like I said, the outworld is an absolute pigsty. Messors are truly the teenage boys of the ant cave. Messy buggers. Now, believe it or not, messors will do quite happily just eating seeds, getting all the carbohydrates and the protein from the ant bread that they produce. I have got some pictures of that later, but just wait out for that. But I do often drop a bit of a cockroach in for them as well, so they've got that extra boost of protein for the queen and the brood. And as you can see here, this is all dried up. I would normally look at taking this out, but these guys clearly don't mind hacking at the solidified inners of the cockroach, because obviously I've cut it in quarters there. Such a mess. They're so messy. So I'm probably going to leave that in to let them still keep hacking at it if they choose to. And as you can see, this worker here, by the way, that colour of red on her is absolutely gorgeous. Now, she has got a mandibles full of protein there, or cockroachy bits. I do follow her around, which I'm not going to show on this, to see if she goes and takes it into the test tube, but I lost interest because she was just mincing around in circles rather than actually going and doing something constructive. But hey, back to what I was saying, I love the jet black of their backsides or their abdomens or their thorax, or whatever the hell it's called. I generally don't know. I keep meaning to look it up, but I don't because I'm incompetent. But if you look at the colour of her, she's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Now, she's one of the bigger workers, so I'm assuming she's one of the media workers, because he's a polymorphic blatantly, even though I was told it wasn't. What lies? Well, I wouldn't say it was lies, just didn't know themselves, but clearly these are polymorphic. Now, just for you new ant keepers, just in case, polymorphic means you get a range of different castes or size of workers, and that's what you can see with messors. Messor Barbarus are probably most well known for it, but a lot of ant species have that trait, and it is very prevalent in messors as well. I forgot to mention this when I first revealed them because I was blabbering on about something else. But you notice as well when I revealed the messors for the first time, they went crazy and running around everywhere. These guys are a bit more calmer. When I revealed them and took the cover off the test tube, they were a lot calmer than the messors. Yes, they went slightly a bit skittish, which is good because previously when I've done it to these, they've gone crazy, but they've definitely settled down now they're growing in size. That's important to remember when dealing with messors. Generally, as a rule of thumb, they are very skitty. These guys seem more chilled out than the Messors Barbarus, should I say. But leave them alone. If you've got a foundation colony, do your best to leave them alone. And the best way I'd advise that, if they're in a test tube still, is attach an outworld like this. Then you can feed them without disturbing the queen, and you won't stress her out as much. And finally, let's look at the monsters of the Messor world, Messor Arenarius. These things are huge. I've got a good comparison photo here in a second, but wait out for that. If we look at their current setup, they are in the Wakushi Venus nest and the Amboy Elite Outworld, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's that. I can't remember. It's been ages since I bought off him. Now, these girls have got to be the most chilled out messors I've ever come across in my life. If you look here, when I took the cover off, practically no reaction at all. If you compare that to the Messor Barbarus that went absolute crazy, and then to the Messor Minor Hasperius, got it right for once, that were reacted slightly, these girls just don't care. And it's probably due to their size, because they are massive compared to all the other standard messors that you get. These are relatively slow growing, and I think that's due to their size. But if we have a look at the macro lens, you can see, look at the size of that larvae. That is definitely going to be a major, I reckon, because it's huge. This is the queen. She is big. Now, I believe the majors get to roughly the same size as she does, and I haven't got any yet, but I can't wait because it's going to be epic. And here is some of that ant bread you can just see there going off the screen. Now, how they make that, oh, nice little batch of eggs. How they make that is that they grind down the seeds, mix up their saliva and a bit of water, and then they get ant bread out of it. And they feed that to the young, and they also feed off it as well to the queen, obviously, because they get their carbohydrates and the protein from it. Now, if you look here, these are polymorphic, and I can't wait, as I just stated, because the majors are going to be as big as the queen. Can't wait for that. But look at the detail in the larvae, and look how big the queen is compared to them. If the major is truly, super major is truly the size of the queen, it is going to be epically huge. I'm talking massive, scary big, to be fair. But you can clearly see that they're doing well. I think I counted the workers at about 35, 40 workers. So the colony's doing really well. I think I only got them earlier this year as well. So I can't remember when I got them now, but I've had them about 6 months to a year maybe. Now, they may be the biggest, but they don't actually make the most amount of mess. But they've stored the seeds in this little chamber here, which is good because they keep it clean. And if we look in here as well, unlike the Messor Barbarus, if I can get this off, they're not actually keeping the seeds in the test tube. To give you an idea about how big these guys really are, at the top is my Messor Minor Hasperius, and at the bottom is obviously my Arenarius. So you can see how big they are. I mean, like the bottom ones, they're not majors, they're just normal workers. So you can see the size difference from the normal workers of the Hesperius even. And the Messor Barbarus aren't massively different for the minor workers from Hesperius and the Barbarus. So it gives you a scale of size about how big these guys really are. Now you can't see it in this photo, but you will be able to see it in this one coming up now. Look at the difference in size of queens. The queen in the bottom left for the Arenarius and the Hesperium's pretty much centre screen. Look at the size difference. They are huge. I cannot wait for them to get majors. I am so excited. It's going to be awesome. Now, while you guys are watching my Messor bicolours messing around in the background, I'm going to shamelessly plug some YouTube channels. If you like my channel, clearly you do toward the end of my video, you're going to like these guys as well. Check out Anty Matters, Ant on the Rocks and PJGrant. They are my Patreon guys, so don't get me wrong, and I'm shamelessly plugging them, but they've got their own YouTube channel, so check them out. I'll put a description in the link below. Well, that's it for today then, guys. I owe you all a big massive thanks, because you guys here right now watching this video are the ones keeping my channel alive by continuing to watch them. So I much appreciate you guys, but I also massively appreciate my Patreon supporters. So please join me and thank my Patreon supporters: Adam W, Adrian, Antantics, Anton the Rock, Anty Matters, David D, Jason W, Kevin R, Paul A, Pavant, PJGrant and Wakushi, because they still make my channels very much possible and as good as they are today. So thank them and thank you for watching. So that's it for today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye for now. What am I doing, May? Am I filming you snoring?